Afternoon, I'm Golston Dart.
I'm Lisa Gonzalez. Thanks for joining us. Right now, migrants are gathered at the U.S.-Mexico border with just 5 hours to go to a major change in immigration policy.
And we can show you the long lines at both the borders of El Paso, Texas, and also near San Diego. All of these people wanting to cross into the U.S. as Title 42 winds down in a matter of hours. That was a rule that was put in place during the pandemic. It allowed the U.S. to deport most migrants immediately. That rule stops at 9 o'clock our time tonight. And now thousands of people are waiting, hoping to get asylum. As many as 11,000 people entered the country yesterday alone. Officials expect to see those numbers jump dramatically as, again, Title 42 lifts.
And when it does lift, immigration law goes back to the way it was before the pandemic. Migrants will either be removed from the U.S., detained, or released into the country while their cases make their way through immigration court. Preparations have been underway for some time now to try to deal with the expected influx of migrants into this country and the demands that will put on resources all along the southern border.
We have live team coverage for you from the federal response, also to the focus here in the state of California and how groups right here in our area are getting ready just in case migrants do make their way here.
We begin with KCRA 3's Ty Steele and Andrea Flores anchoring our coverage from San Ysidro.
And as you mentioned, we know Title 42 is set to end in a matter of hours here. And we've spoken to many shelters and other humanitarian aid organizations who tell us the biggest issue that they're facing is misinformation. Folks who are coming from around the world who have no idea what to do once they get here to the United States-Mexico border in San Ysidro.
So much uncertainty, not just for the migrants behind the border wall, but also for the organizations seeking to help these people if and when they do make it into the U.S., as well as Border Patrol. No one is quite sure what to expect once Title 42 is lifted. Once it is lifted, the Biden administration will lean on a decades-old policy, Title 8, which carries with it some strict penalties for migrants seeking to cross the border illegally, up to a 5-year ban, as well as some new policies with other strict punishment for people that are trying to seek the border illegally. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas held a press conference earlier today speaking about the federal response to the crisis here at the border. Here's KCRA 3's Kayla Norwood with the details.
Ty and Andrea, Secretary Mayorkas says the administration has been planning for this for nearly 2 years, but he blamed Congress for a broken immigration system. House Republicans say they're ready to fix it. Migrants rushing to the southern border to enter the U.S. as pandemic-era restrictions are set to lift at midnight. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas says illegal border crossings are already up ahead of the end of Title 42, but they're ready to meet the challenge.
If anyone arrives at our southern border after midnight tonight, they will be presumed ineligible for asylum and subject to steeper consequences for unlawful entry.
The Biden administration's plan includes increasing enforcement at the border. That includes 24,000 Border Patrol agents and officers and thousands of troops to assist, barring those who cross illegally from returning for 5 years, and opening 100 regional processing centers in other countries to expand legal pathways. But they're not functional yet. I asked Secretary Mayorkas about that.
Was it a mistake to not have them ready in time to prevent a surge?
As I have said, the development of those processing centers is a complex undertaking that requires the work of our foreign partners, international organizations, and the like, and we've moved very swiftly.
Republican lawmakers call what's happening at the border total chaos.
This administration has not done what it needed to do. This was a very predictable crisis.
In the House, Republicans voting on an immigration package they say will secure the border.
H.R. 2 will secure America's borders by improving the asylum system, deploying urgent resources to the southern and northern borders, including walls, manpower, and technologies, and ending incentives for illegal immigration.
President Biden has already said that he would veto that GOP bill. Meantime, the administration plans to return to previous restrictions once Title 42 ends. At Washington, Kayla Norwood, KCRA 3 News.
And we've heard that from not only migrants, but also from shelter organizers that what's going on is pure chaos. Nobody seems to know exactly what's going on, including the migrants that are here at the San Ysidro port of entry. We've spoken to people from countries including Turkey, Jordan, Afghanistan. I spoke to one man who came here with his mother and his sister. He says he came here and wanted to come to the U.S. more than a year and a half after the U.S. withdrew troops from Afghanistan. And he told us a little bit about what they're experiencing here at the border. What is it like being here with all these hundreds of people waiting?
The feeling is so awful because I was not in the same situation before in my life. Back in Afghanistan, I was working in the government and everything was so good. But suddenly, when the crisis came, everything ended in one day.
The ripple effect from the lifting of Title 42 is being felt across the country and right here in California, across the state. The Office of Emergency Services held a press conference earlier today talking about the state's response to the lifting of Title 42. We go now live to KCRA 3's Ashley Zavala with the very latest on the state's response. Ashley?
Yeah, Ty, state leaders are keeping a close eye on the situation at the southern border, specifically on the health and safety of not just migrants, but also Californians. That means making sure that hospitals don't get overcrowded and that emergency services aren't strained. California right now financially helps support a handful of migrant resources centers that help provide COVID-19 tests, diapers, and bus tickets, for example. That's on top of 6 shelters that the state helps support in Riverside County. California has spent about $1 billion on these programs since 2019. As we've been extensively reporting, California is facing an economic downturn, and the governor has said for months now the state cannot continue to shoulder the costs for these resources, which are really the responsibility of the federal government. Emergency management leaders told us that the governor did speak with Secretary Mayorkas yesterday about this.
There's been discussions ongoing for months, and I know that both the governor, our director, have spoken with Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas about the pressure that this puts on the state of California and the impacts it has on our communities. Ultimately, we are not the border people, but what we do want to do is ensure Californians can continue to receive the services that they require to stay safe and healthy, not just along our southern border, but all across the state. Immigration doesn't stay in one place, it moves, and so we really want to do that because it has impacts for all Californians.
Now, the governor on Twitter has been criticizing national Republicans and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy for some potential budget cuts that they're proposing to Border Patrol officers and law enforcement, as well as how some budget cuts could render some technology at the border unusable. But meanwhile, back here at home, Governor Gavin Newsom tomorrow is expected to deliver potentially some disheartening news about the state budget, which could impact those services that California right now provides along the southern border. Reporting live here at the state capitol, Ashley Zavala, KCRA 3 News.
Ashley, thank you. When it comes to what the migrants here at the southern border are requesting, it's actually not water, it's not food, it's not blankets, although they do need those items. Believe it or not, if you walk over to that border wall and find anyone out there, they're holding out a cell phone with a charger and they're begging for cell phone service because they want to be connected to loved ones back home, to each other here, and to any services that might be available for them if they in fact do cross the border.
And we know the situation is dire. We were here for our documentary a year ago. The situation was bad then at shelters on both sides of the border. That continues at this point. Some shelters have told us their capacity has tripled over the last few months before Title 42 is lifted, just to give you an idea. We also can't help but notice there's also been an increased presence of Border Patrol agents here along the San Ysidro border over the last 24 hours in anticipation of the lifting of.
All right, Ty and Andrea, thank you so much. We're going to check back in with them in less than 30 minutes from the border.
Yeah, also ahead at 4:30. More on this. We're going to go to KCRA 3's Josie Hart. She's in Stockton, where the food bank says that it's bracing for a busy time as Title 42 winds down, how they're gearing up for possible people coming in.